Mike Tyson heard the sound before he saw anything. Not words, just a sound coming from somewhere ahead on the sidewalk, the kind of sound that makes you slow down even before your brain understands what it is. He stopped walking, looked around, and then he saw the old man. What Mike had in the next 20 minutes, nobody who was there that afternoon saw coming. Not the old man, not the three young men who thought they'd already gotten away with something, and certainly not the little girl who opened a shopping bag 4 days later and found something inside she never expected. To understand how a quiet Tuesday afternoon in Manhattan turned into a moment that a Korean War veteran would think about for the rest of his life, we need to go back to the beginning. It was the mid-2000s, a gray October afternoon in Midtown Manhattan. Mike had just finished a business meeting a few blocks away. Nothing urgent, just the kind of conversation that filled his days during this period. Endorsements, appearances, the ongoing work of rebuilding his life after years of things falling apart. His security guard, Marcus, was with him, walking a few steps back, professional and quiet. They were about 6 blocks from the car when Mike heard it. It was coming from a bench near a bus shelter up ahead, a sound too specific to ignore and too painful to be background noise. He looked toward it and saw an old man sitting with both hands over his face, shoulders moving slightly. A shopping bag had tipped over on the pavement in front of him. A small stuffed bear had fallen out of it and was lying on the sidewalk. People were walking past him, one after another. A woman with a coffee, a man on his phone, 2 tourists with cameras around their necks. Every single one of them saw the old man and kept moving. Mike stopped, looked at the people walking past, then looked back at the old man. Then he walked over. He crouched down in front of the bench to bring himself to eye level. "Hey," he said, "you okay?" The old man looked up. He was maybe 78 or 79 years old, white hair, thin frame, a brown coat that had been good quality once and was not anymore. His eyes were wet, and he looked at Mike with the expression of someone who had been ignored enough times that being noticed felt like a mistake. "I am fine," the old man said. His voice was thin and careful. "You are not fine," Mike said. Not unkindly, just accurately. "What happened?" The old man looked at his shopping bag on the ground, at the small bear lying on the pavement. Something in his face shifted. "Some boys," he said. "3 of them, just around the corner." He gestured down the block. "They took my wallet." Mike looked at the shopping bag, at the bear. What was in the wallet? The old man was quiet for a moment. $60, he said. "That was everything I had until the end of the month." He paused, and Mike could hear how much it cost him to say the next part. "My granddaughters are coming to visit on Saturday. First time in 2 years. I wanted to get them both something small." He looked at the bear on the pavement. "I already bought that one. The $60 was for the other one. She is 7 years old. I could not show up with a gift for the older one and nothing for her. That is not how it works." He stopped talking, pressed his lips together. "I know it is silly," he said quietly. "A man my age crying about $60. "It is not silly," Mike said. He picked the stuffed bear up from the pavement and placed it carefully back in the shopping bag. Then he stood up and looked down the block in the direction the old man had pointed. "These boys," Mike said, "where exactly did they go?" The old man looked up at him. "You do not need to." "Where did they go?" Mike asked again, patient, same tone. The old man pointed. "That way, toward the next block. There is a bodega on the corner. They were standing outside it before they came over to me. One of them is wearing a red hoodie." Mike looked at Marcus. Marcus was already scanning the direction the old man had indicated, his expression shifting into the focused calm of someone trained for situations that required it. "Stay with him," Mike said. He found them in 40 seconds. They were exactly where the old man said. Outside the bodega on the next corner, 3 of them, laughing. One was flipping through the contents of a worn brown wallet. Red hoodie, just like the old man said. The other 2 in dark jackets, all of them around 20 years old, carrying the specific energy of young men who had just done something easy and had not yet encountered anything that would teach them it was wrong. Mike walked toward them at a normal pace, nothing urgent in his movement. He got within 10 feet before the one in the red hoodie looked up. Recognition does not always happen at once. Sometimes it comes in stages, a flicker of something familiar, the brain catching up, then the eyes going wide. That is exactly what happened in the red hoodie's face. "Yo," he said, suddenly very still. "Yo, that is." "I know you know who I am," Mike said, stopping in front of them. His voice was completely level. "And that is going to make this simple. That wallet belongs to an old man sitting on a bench around the corner. You are going to give it to me right now, then you are going to walk away. That is the end of this." The second kid looked between the red hoodie and Mike with the expression of someone rapidly reconsidering several recent decisions. The third one said nothing, just stared. Red hoodie looked at the wallet in his hand, looked at Mike. Whatever he was calculating completed itself very quickly. "We were just," he started. "Wallet," Mike said. "Now." Red hoodie held it out. Mike took it. He opened it and looked inside. The money was still there, all $60, untouched. He closed it. "That man," Mike said, looking at all 3 of them, "has 2 granddaughters visiting him on Saturday. First time in 2 years. That $60 was for a gift, so the younger one would not feel left out next to her sister." He paused. "That is what you took from him." None of them said anything. "3 of you," Mike said. "1 old man." He shook his head slowly. "That is not power. That is the opposite of power." He looked at them one more time. "Go home. Find something better to do with your life than this." He turned and walked back toward the bench. Behind him, there was no movement, no voices. Just 3 young men standing outside a bodega with the particular paralysis of people who had just been handed something they had not prepared for. The old man looked up when Mike came back. Marcus was standing nearby, the shopping bag collected, the old man slightly more composed but still fragile around the edges. When he saw Mike walking toward him, he sat up a little straighter, not sure what to expect. Mike held out the wallet. The old man stared at it for a moment. Then he took it with both hands, slowly. The way you take something you had already accepted was gone. "How did you?" he started. "They were right around the corner," Mike said. "They had not gone far." The old man opened the wallet, looked inside, closed it again. He held it against his chest with both hands and looked away, working to hold on to the composure he had been trying to maintain since this started. "Thank you," the old man said. His voice was barely above a whisper. Mike reached into his jacket pocket and took out several folded bills. He held them out toward the old man. The old man looked at them. "I cannot take that." "You can," Mike said, "for the second bear, so both of them have something on Saturday." The old man looked at Mike for a long moment, really looked at him, the way you look at someone when something is not adding up and you are trying to understand it. "Why are you doing this?" he asked, not suspicious, genuinely wanting to know. Mike thought about it for a second. "Because someone should have stopped 20 minutes ago," he said. "And nobody did. And that is not right." The old man took the money. He folded it carefully and placed it in his wallet and put the wallet in his coat pocket and kept his hand there for a moment. "My name is Walter," the old man said. Mike said and shook his hand. Walter almost smiled. "I know who you are, Mike." Mike insisted on walking him home. Walter lived 4 blocks away. They walked at Walter's pace, which was slow and deliberate, and Mike matched it without appearing to. the particular skill of someone who understood that keeping pace with a person is its own kind of respect. Walter talked as they walked, not about what had happened. That seemed settled. He talked about his granddaughters, Eleanor, who was 9 and already serious and interested in books, Grace, who was 7 and interested in everything at once and exhausted everyone around her with the relentless energy of a child who finds the world endlessly surprising. "She is going to love the bear," Walter said. "She loves anything soft. She already has 12 stuffed animals." He paused. "But you cannot show up with one for the older one and nothing for the younger one. That is not how it works." "No," Mike agreed. "It is not." "You have children?" Walter asked. "Yeah," Mike said. "Then you know," Walter said simply. They walked another half-block without speaking. "I served in Korea," Walter said after a while. "I was 19 years old. Came home in 1953. He looked at the street ahead of them. "I have lived in this city for 70 years. I have seen a lot of things change." He paused. "Some things do not change." "What things?" Mike asked. Walter glanced at him. "People walking past when someone needs help." He was quiet for a moment. "And people who stop." Mike did not say anything. He did not need to. They reached Walter's building, a narrow walk-up, a buzzer panel with handwritten names beside each button. Walter stood at the door with his shopping bag and looked at Mike. "Come Saturday," Walter said. "When Grace opens that bear, she is not going to know the story behind it. She is just going to see a stuffed animal and be happy." He paused. "But I will know. I will know exactly where it came from and what it cost somebody to make sure she had it." He paused again. "That means something to me. More than you know." They shook hands. Walter went inside. The door closed. Mike stood on the sidewalk for a moment. Then he and Marcus walked back toward the car. Marcus spoke after about a block. "The money you gave him." "What about it?" Mike said. "You did not have to do that." "I know," Mike said. They walked another half-block. "You know what stays with me?" Marcus said. "All those people walking past him, dozens of them, and not one person stopped." "People are busy," Mike said. "That is not why," Marcus said. Mike looked at him. "They saw him," Marcus said. "They just decided it was not their problem." Mike was quiet for a moment. "The thing about deciding something is not your problem is that the person with the problem does not get to make that decision. They just have the problem." Marcus thought about that for the rest of the walk back to the car. On Saturday, a 7-year-old girl named Grace opened a shopping bag in a small Manhattan apartment and found 2 stuffed bears instead of 1. She looked at her grandfather with wide eyes. "One for each of you," Walter told her. Grace held both bears for a moment, one in each arm, considering. Then she handed the larger one to her sister, with the casual generosity of a child who has not yet learned to be careful about giving things away. Walter watched this from his armchair. He thought about a Tuesday afternoon on a sidewalk, about a man who stopped when nobody else did, about $60 and the dignity of being able to give your granddaughter something small when she came to visit, about what it means when someone decides that a stranger's problem is their problem too. 3 young men took the last $60 a 79-year-old Korean War veteran had until the end of the month. Money he had been saving to make sure his younger granddaughter had a gift when she came to visit for the first time in 2 years. Mike Tyson happened to be walking by. He found the 3 men around the corner, got the wallet back, returned it, gave Walter extra money for the second bear, and walked him home. No cameras, no announcement. No reason to do any of it except that he was there and someone needed help and everyone else had kept walking. Sometimes that is the whole story, and sometimes that is enough.